Next speaker says today's speech is inspired by the movie Top Gun. You all may know of the song Danger Zone and how pushing it to the brink inspires greatness in Tom Cruise. Well, Michael's going to be talking about what the comfort zone inspired you to do. In a 8 to 10 minute speech, time lives the coach.
I'd like to start my speech with a quote and then reflect for a second afterwards. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Neil Donald Walsh. You see, I'm the type of person that likes to leap into projects without thinking about them or worrying about the consequences. I just learn what I need to do when I get the project. John Maxwell calls this jumping off the cliff and growing your wings on the way down. Well, I'll tell you, I had lots of times that I grew my wings. Sometimes they were small, sometimes they were big. Sometimes I went splat. So today I'm going to talk about one of those comfort zones. It was a 40-year-old comfort zone. For 40 years, I was very comfortable with my emotions. More precisely, I was more comfortable with my lack of emotions. You see, my father was a World War II vet and believed in sparing the rod, spoil the child, but he didn't use a rod, he used a belt. I'm not judging my father. You remember what kind of person I said I was? I was always in trouble because I didn't worry about the consequences. So 40 years ago, I learned that I could turn my emotions off and those whippings wouldn't hurt. All I had to do was holler and scream loud enough for him to stop. Worked for me. The problem was, I did that with everything. All emotions at the same time. So I'm going to tell you about that day that it changed. The day was a sunny day on September 15th, 2018. I was in a Reno, Nevada, Hampton Inn Conference Center. I was there with my coach. We were to give a self-development seminar, and I was giving one of the segments. I was teaching on the RAS. You remember that I told you about the reticular activating system. So I was going to teach that. So during the conference, came my turn to speak. I spoke. I was very, very nervous, sweat profusely. And I sat down and finished the conference. At the end of the conference, they had something called the board break. Some of us have seen it online. Some of us may have even done it. Looked easy enough. All it was concrete block with a 12-inch board between it. All you had to do was hit it with your hand and break it. Seemed easy enough to me because I was a good swimmer. No problem. Wrong. So they gave us our safety procedures of what we needed to do and told us that we should write something on the board that we're willing to break, and that would give us more of our emotions to allow us to break the board. So I lined up, came my turn, and the coach said, "Are you ready?" I said, "Oh yeah." He said, "Back of the line." I said, "What?" He said, "You're not emotionally or mentally ready. Go to the back of the line until you're ready." That devastated me because I knew I could do it. This happened 4 or 5 times, until I decided I can do this. Remember, I did that with my father? So I convinced my coach that I could do it. I broke the board, completed it. I happened to be the last one to break my board because I kept getting sent to the back of the line. And the seminar concluded. I was congratulated and praised for doing a good job. What I did was what I always did, was put it in the back of my mind, said it was no big deal. I accomplished the task and it was done. Except for one little thing. There was something in the pit of my stomach. No idea where it came from, no idea what it was. I attributed it that I was hungry. So later on, I went to the bar to eat at the hotel. And I ordered some food. I decided I would do some introspection on what happened during that day. After all, there was still that pit in the stomach. And in my introspection, I kept hearing, it's not about the board. And I said, what do you mean it's not about the board? I broke a board. It's not about the board. After examining it, my food came, and I heard, what about your comfort zone? And I thought, I have no comfort zones. I jump into anything. And then I heard, what about your emotions? And I thought, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. I felt the dam sprang a leak. And I paid without finishing my meal, which never happens. And I went back to my hotel room. No sooner than the door closed, the dam broke. A flood of emotions and tears came for what seemed to be hours. I hadn't cried since I was a kid about anything. I cried for hours, stopped, did some introspection, and realized I never wanted to do that again. So what comfort zones are you in? Are you overweight and don't want to get out of that comfort zone? Do you not want to jump out of a perfectly good airplane? Do you want to public speak? Most of you came to Toastmasters for that. Maybe you haven't gone out and spoke out in public. Maybe you want to change jobs or find a new career. So what comfort zones do you need to change? I'm here to tell you today that life really does begin at the end of your comfort zone. Thanks.